Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4. And I'm going to guess episode number 599 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.com. Today, recording day is, oh my God, I'm all discombobulated this morning, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. And it looks like it's going to be a rather nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. A little gray out still, but nice temperatures just above zero. So spring is coming. Let's see. We've got a good show for you today. Sorry for the delay. As you know, kids and cubs, if you've been watching the show here at the Beaver Lodge, we've been playing Beaver Lodge Tetris as we are in our renovations. Well, I'm happy to announce, as you can tell by the camera angle, that there have been some changes. The old desk has been, the floor has been fixed enough so that we can get the new bed in, which freed room here, and then we could put the new mattress on the new bed, which freed more room, which meant we could take out the desk, assemble the new desk, which freed up yet more room. And now I actually have the new computer actually set up on the desk with the monitors, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet, so I'm still doing it through the phone today. Unfortunately, as we were moving stuff away, I kind of, or we kind of, I'm not sure who it is, misplaced the camera stand, and the mic wasn't affixed. So we had to figure out how to do camera and mic. So if I was able to move the camera and sort of Blair Witch you a little bit, you would see that the microphone is literally wedged between the windowsill and the desk and propped up on a bunch of boxes right here so that it could be right at the right height. And the camera is propped on a book leaning against a monitor.
Very, very analog.
Super analog today, but we do what we must to get a show to you, kids and cubs. And by the way, I also have no big computer to send Mr. Grizzly back, so I have like an old cell phone that I dropped that still works on my router. So we might be MacGyvering it today, but we will get a show to you. Now, before we go any further, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
I've had a lot of struggles recently, and I've expressed them on both my Substack and my ASMR YouTube channel, and I will continue to do so. But I am surprisingly feeling good today. Why, I don't know, because last night, Lola decided to wake up at 4 a.m. and do her ear flap thing, which is when she shakes it off, starts from the tip of her nose, goes right to the end of her tail. And wakes me up. So I did not get back to sleep after that. I didn't get to bed until after almost 1 o'clock. So I'm running on about 3 hours sleep. So honestly, I should feel terrible and be hating myself, but I don't. So I'm going to rejoice in that. And the night before, I barely slept a wink. I was up every hour. So I was thankful that yesterday we had a pre-record because I was a mess.
Oh, me too. I was very thankful. By the way, Kids and Cubs, if you arrived in the live chat and were already partway through the show, you may have not sprung forward. Just letting you know. My biological clock this morning really worked because it was light when I was waking up. This and that. Now it's still dark a little bit, and so I was in bed, and I guess I woke up. And it was still dark, and I thought, I got time, and laid there for 5 minutes. I said, well, I'm kind of up, so I might as well get up. And then I looked at the clock and said, oh, that's the time I normally wake up on. So my biological clock shifted quite well with the time because I was just noticing it was dark and I was going to sleep another hour. I was like, nope, you're up, you're awake. It's like, okay. It's like, oh,
There you go.
27. Okay, you got to get up. In fact, I actually slept in 12 minutes more. But yeah, biological clock is working really well. Okay, Mr. Grizzly, did anything happen on the weekend?
Anything happen on the weekend? Yeah, Sens won on Sunday.
Oh, I love that.
Sunday? What's up? Saturday. Sens won.
That was against the Rangers, right?
Yes, yeah, in overtime, and then they won again last against Detroit in regular time, and
securing that playoff spot.
Set a record for saves. Ullmark set a record for saves. 27 saves in the second period.
Jeez,
shots in the second period. That's like a game almost.
I was just about to say that there's some games that don't even have 27 shots.
Exactly. So, yeah, he stood on his head last night once again, proving to the world that the Sens are for real, and they won in. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Playoff
It's been
bound.
a long drought, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
because like we were spoiled. I think there was like 10 consecutive seasons the Sens made the playoffs. So like they were the most reliable Canadian team at one point.
Yes, they made the playoffs every year for 10 or 11 years, and made the finals in 2007, and were literally seconds from the finals in 2017. Seconds. Double overtime, fluky goal deflected in off, and it was Game 7 double overtime against the Penguins.
I know. We was robbed by fate.
That's the game, though. It was frustrating, but I couldn't be mad about it. It's like, hey, you went to 7 games double overtime against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, if memory serves, won the Stanley Cup that year. So,
yep. Like you say, it was the game. If anybody was watching the Briar over the course of the weekend, Brad Gushu in last shot like this and missed them.
Oh, he didn't win. It was the other Brad who won, right?
Yeah.
I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, in the Battle of the Brad. So yeah, it's Brad Jacobs, Olympic gold medalist from 2014, is it? I think so. But Olympic gold medalist, Brad Jacobs, won his second Brier. He had won his first one back in 2013. So 12 years between Briers. He's been putting in the work. But yeah, they will be going to the World Championships as Team Canada.
Cool.
Team Dunstone, for the second time in a row, got the silver medal. And you can see that Matt Dunstone was really broken up because he too again was making everything all week, right? And then again, curling, sometimes it's one shot.
One shot.
So, really. In this case, it was 2 shots that he missed. And he was like, and you could see him, and he was just like, and this is the wonderful thing about curling, right? You often see this is he was just, I wasn't good enough. Because in curling, you're 4 people, right? So one of the things in curling that's very important is owning it when you're the one that sunk the team or cost the team, or made the mistake. So rather than like finding another reason, just owning it, and that was me. But I mean, second year in a row. I mean, and his third Colton Lott. If you guys were watching, oh my God, this guy made shot after shot after shot after shot, doubles, triples. Just he was ridiculously good. He put on this clinic. So if you had never heard his name, and he's one of the Canada's best mixed doubles players as well, plays with his wife team. And then of course Brad Jacobs, which is really interesting because he used to skip Team Northern Ontario, and his front end, the Harnden brothers, one of whom I say you look like, well, you don't like look like, but you remind me of when I see him on, it's like Paul's playing curling. But they call them the Brush Brothers, and they're really, really, really good. Well, when they won the gold medal, Brad Jacobs was their skip. But teams have changed since, so he was playing against his former front end. So there was a little story, right? Let's go on with that. But yeah, great Briar, absolutely exceptional curling. The top 4 teams, when they went into the playoffs, had 3 losses among them, after each having played 8 games. So 24 matches, 3 losses. The top 4 teams. It was exceptionally good curling. And the team from Yukon actually ended the round robin 4 wins and 4 losses. Yukon.
Wow.
Gets some cups. Yukon. That's what I mean. There's good curling all across the country. I love it when the territories have a good run because it's, they often get a little bit of short shrift on the coverage. So 4 wins for Yukon is they were in the spotlight, so that was great. So there was a lot to celebrate. It was a really, really good weekend. But when you're talking about standing on your head, there was some excellent shot making. So they get about a week or a few weeks off, and they'll go to the World Championships, and the Women's World Championships will be starting in Korea on the weekend on Saturday. And while all this was going on, the World Wheelchair Curling Championships were happening in Team Canada. Did very, very well. They got to the semifinal and lost by 1 point. So they played for the bronze and defeated Slovakia 4-2 to bring home the bronze medal for Canada. So already that opens up the door real well for the series of World Championships to come, because it's now officially World Championship season in curling. So hopefully there will be a lot of success for Team Canada. And then there was another big success on the ski hill. James Cameron, who unfortunately was injured for the World Championships, but he's having a banner season. I think he's ranked 5th in downhill standing as a 9 in Super G in the world. He picked up a silver in Kitzbühel. So, which again is one of the signature courses.
Kitzbühel? Did you say Kitzbühel?
No, Kvitfjell.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
In Norway, I believe. Yeah, Kitzbühel happened already.
So that's what I thought. I'm like, didn't he win that already?
Yeah, he did win that one, eh?
Yeah.
I think
I was very confused there for a moment.
Yeah, that was the one where Canadians finished 1st and 3rd, I believe. There's Cameron Alexander, and then there was him. I'm not sure which one of them won it.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, but banner season for him. Another silver medal on the World Cup podium for this guy. Some Canadians who are making us proud. There you go. To start off the show. Over the course of the weekend, little something happened. There was a vote, and we have a new Prime Minister designate.
And wow, are people losing their shit over the fact that we didn't get to vote? This is not democracy in action. Okay,
yes, it is.
Let me break it down for you. Civics 101. Okay. You actually could have voted if you signed up for a Liberal Party membership. Then you would have a direct hand in electing the next Prime Minister of Canada. But you didn't do that, so instead you're going to sit on the sidelines and complain that it was not democratic because you didn't get to vote in it. Well, here's the thing. Every party does this. You elect your leader, and if you happen to be the party in power, that leader becomes Prime Minister designate.
And particularly if you live in Alberta, Danielle Smith was elected this way.
Yes, exactly.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, the argument then is say Kim Campbell, John Turner, et cetera, et cetera. There's many prime ministers that have been placed into power in this manner. They go, but Kim Campbell had a seat. Okay.
Danielle Smith didn't have a seat when she was elected.
No, she did. But don't gloss over that one. Let's just gloss over basic civics, the Westminster system of parliamentary democracy. The Prime Minister
is declared Prime Minister by convention in the Westminster parliamentary system.
Correct.
Nobody votes for Prime Minister.
No,
it's all Democratic. It's all Democratic. Listen, we went into this situation and nobody had to invent new rules for it. that means that the rules that we have allowed for it.
Exactly.
I mean, just rub two brain cells together and get a spark, please. Pardon, a little bitchy this morning.
Did you also catch that all the other leaders of all the other parties, with the exception of one, had nice congratulatory comments for Mark Carney on becoming the new Liberal leader and Prime Minister designate?
Yes.
One didn't. One didn't have anything to say positive. As a matter of fact, he had a press conference, and all he did was spew more lies and bullshit, because that's all he knows how to do.
Yep. And considering that one's priorities are the things for which one makes time, we are getting some interesting insight into certain people's priorities, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
Just saying. Again, be nice to people on the way up.
We're going to remember you on the way down.
This is, my God, even if you don't mean it, put out the nicety to not create the PR noise to create an opportunity for us to discuss this. But as we mentioned several months ago, previous makeovers didn't work. The current one he's on, apparently he's letting his Gray show now, because Mark Carney's 59, and Gray makes someone look distinguished and smart. So waiting to hear the articles about him dropping CrossFit and starting to eat pizza so he can sport dad bod. The guy keeps on changing. It's almost chameleon creepy. Again, I wonder about the stability of someone who basically looks in the camera and says, "Hey, who do you want me to be today?"
Well, it's effectively what he does. I mean, my goodness, the man, he flip-flops on every single subject, except he flip-flops in public, but when he votes, he always votes no against everything that would help Canadians. Yep. Every single time. His voting record is publicly available. And people have torn into me for saying these things about him. And I'm like, well, then just look at his voting record. It's publicly available. It's recorded for you to see. He voted against school lunch programs, pharmacare, dental care, daycare, the child tax credit. He votes against everything that benefits Canadians. He voted against housing, told his MPs, do not go to Sean Fraser, the housing minister, and ask for money for your constituents. You want this guy to run a country? No.
And he still hasn't actually shown us that he's able to pivot yet.
No, and he still doesn't have a security clearance, which is funny because Mark Carney has his.
Yes. Not only does he have his, as you mentioned, he's also filed everything that he needed to do now that he's leader. Yes. He doesn't have to do it until he's actually sitting MP.
Correct.
But now that he's leader, filed everything with the ethics commissioner and put absolutely everything in a blind trust, which is over and above what the law that Stephen Harper himself put in place required.
Correct.
So again, we have this interesting situation where the Conservatives seem to have thought that running around for 2 weeks talking about disclosure. Mark Carney won't disclose this. Mark Carney won't disclose that. Mark Carney won't disclose everything. This. Well, yes, but again, simultaneously, while at the same time, the leader of His Majesty's loyal, opposition.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe Biden, for that one. Has a problem with disclosure, right? Because if you're going to apply for a top secret security clearance, you have to disclose things to do that, don't you? And unlike Mark Carney, who they were asking to disclose all this financial stuff in public,
yes,
so everybody can see what conflicts he has, Mr. Poilievre, in applying for his top secret level security clearance, would not have to disclose anything public, only to authorities.
Correct. But he refuses to do it.
So it's really, really, really ironic to me that you really, disclosure, you want to run on that. Conservatives, really. And then the other one is honesty. Mark Carney's not honest. He's already lying to you. Again, these criticisms only work if the person making them lies less. And we've commented many times about being disconcerted about the ease and frequency with which the leader of the opposition lies. We will say it lies. And we will also we are talking about a man who has a lifetime deferred prosecution agreement with Elections Canada. Do we really want to put honesty on the table against a man who is not only the governor of the Bank of Canada, but the governor of the Bank of England? And I am sure he had to go through some pretty high-level security clearance to get those positions.
Yet you don't become the governor of the bank of a foreign nation and not get your clearance.
Mark Carney, in his previous jobs, has already obtained higher security clearance than Pierre Poilievre has ever had.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
But you guys voluntarily and willingly want to make honesty the subject. Oh, Jenny.
Well, and here's
Jenny.
Here's where it really this is what irks me about the way they're carrying on about how, oh, it's dishonest, democracy was not. And look at this. This is from somebody who knows better and is stirring up shit intentionally. Ben Mulroney.
Yes.
Ben Mulroney.
His
Mark
dad
Carney was selected leader and next prime minister by less than 1% of eligible voters in Canada. At what point will he make himself available to the media so the rest of us can figure out who he is? That is a purposely misleading headline. And he knows better.
Wasn't his dad not an MP when he became the
leader? Yeah. Yeah. His sister and father are politicians, but he doesn't seem to understand how it works. But his father was not a sitting MP when he became leader of the Conservative Party, the Progressive Conservative Party.
Like your own dad, Ben. You were there for it.
Yeah.
Ben. I'm assuming Ben was born when it happened.
Yeah, he was. He was alive.
But WTF? Yeah. Okay. We're getting right back to the thing that we discussed yesterday on the show about respecting your audience.
Ben, it seems, has gone for tabloid media style.
If there is anybody in this damn country who should know,
it's him.
It happened to his oh my God. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. Oh, I'm feeling this deep pulsing in my temples. I'm sorry. Oh, the stupid, it hurts. It really hurts. Okay. Kids, I'm sorry. Just as an aside, again, because this is you can't do that to your audience, man.
No.
Come on. I mean, take them on a ride. Tell your story colorfully. Make it adventurous. Throw in a couple of jokes. You know? Maybe wear a crown when you're. But my God, at least be factual. Respect the fundamental rules of logic. And when you have a certain knowledge of history, because it happened in your own damn family, don't overlook it.
It's ridiculous. I got a fact for you that just came across my feed here, which I find interesting, and it's all related to this. So you know Pierre Poilievre's home riding is Carleton here in the Ottawa area.
Yes.
And listen to this. This is interesting. His home riding has a lot of signed up Liberals with 1,494 votes cast. It's the sixth largest turnout of any riding in the country for Liberal leader.
Yes.
Something tells me Bruce Fanjoy will be the MP next time there's an election called.
Well, here's the thing as well. Shots have already been fired because prior to the leadership vote, there was a video circulating of none other than now Prime Minister Designate Mark Carney in Bruce Fanjoy's writing, Pierre Poilievre's writing, campaigning with Bruce Fanjoy.
Mm.
And there's video, and it's all over the internet. Now, when the guy who is still Liberal leadership candidate Mark Carney, goes into the electoral district of the guy who has been presenting himself for the last 2 years as the next inevitable prime minister, and campaigns with the guy who's been campaigning to unseat him, and this guy who has been campaigning to unseat him has been putting in the time and the kilometers and documenting everything and putting it online for everyone to see for a good long time, while the candidate that he is competing against is gallivanting all around the country, eating apples.
Yeah.
His candidate is being very, very, very present in the writing. He secured the nomination very, very early. He has a plan and he has been executing it. And somewhere along the way, it appears that he has been noticed because of Mark Carney, before being Prime Minister designate, thought it was a good idea to go spend some time with Bruce Fanjoy.
Well, I think it'll be fascinating in the next election when Pierre Poilievre loses his seat.
That would be...
If he's still leader whenever the next election is. Mark Carney said he would call an election quickly. That may or may not happen. We don't know. We don't know. Look, I was shocked at the outcome. I thought he would win. I didn't know it would be on the first ballot by such a massive margin of victory. I did not see that coming.
No, that I did not see coming at all. I was absolutely convinced. Listen, you could have held me by the ankles like this over a body of water and tried to shake me. There's no way I would have ever said that there was a possibility that either Karina Gould or Chrystia Freeland would have picked up less than double digits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Both of them did.
I thought it would be a 3 ballot vote, to be honest with you.
I thought it would be at least 2.
Mm-hmm. I was shocked when I saw the outcome. I'm like, holy shit. That wow.
I know. It was absolutely mind-blowing as a result. The events, the vote and stuff, there were, as you know, there were difficulties with the voting. To the credit of the Liberal Party, they had instituted some hotlines and numbers that people can call, and they got enough people assisted as much as possible. I raised the issue of the 4,000 people that had allegedly registered and why there's only like so few. It seems that it is not abnormal at all, actually, in party leadership races for at least half the people that register originally to not make the next step.
Oh, okay.
Vote. Apparently, you lose a lot of them along the way. So there's the membership, and then there's the register to vote, and then there's the actual voting. So there's 3 actual times that people have to put in some effort. So, and again, as the race evolves, like 400,000 do it, and it's, oh, well, it looks like Mark Carney's got it, so it's not that much of a priority for me to register or and things. But there's many reasons. But apparently, a drop off of half isn't all that abnormal. So I think they got in 151,000 or so type votes before they put in the hotlines. I think they were at 125,000 votes had been successfully cast. So they were able to help a lot of people. There was a lot of people online. Unfortunately, I was not able to be helped. There was just, even though I registered 5 days before the end of the registration deadline, there seemed to have been no record of me having registered whatsoever. So unfortunately, I couldn't vote. So there were a couple of glitches. The party did have to put additional security measures on, because if you remember the last time they had a leadership convention, people who were not citizens but permanent residents, whatnot, would still be affected. Were allowed to vote. People as young as 14 were allowed to vote in the party race. So they tightened that up to make it similar to Elections Canada rules in this case, and so therefore spending more time verifying identification and that type of stuff to make sure as much as possible, that no one can make any foreign interference allegations with regard to that. Also, as an aside with regard to that, Canada's twice-baked potato, Ruby Dalla, tried one last time to smear the party, asking for $350,000 back. Mark Carney, now that your coronation is complete by the Liberal Party, because it seems it's coronation. It is time now to return the $350,000 to hardworking Canadians. No, it was never time to that, because
No.
you signed on to a contest, the rules of which you read and put your name to, saying that you agreed to, that after 2 deposits, there was no refunds. Quote, P.S. Only 150,000 people voted out of 400K who signed up. The other 250,000, just saying, scream emoji. No, actually, this is quite normal. And then the day I entered the race to become Canada's next Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party, you entered the race to become leader of the Liberal Party. And then Canada's next, there's presidents there. I made a promise to stand up for Canadians, to fight for Canada, and to challenge the status quo. I ran to win, I ran to bring real change, and I'm not done yet. No, Boo Boo Kitty, you haven't started. Because, again, on the absolute first opportunity you had after we have a new Prime Minister designate of the party, you claimed you wanted to lead rather than say something supportive. You should have put a can of gas and some matches.
Interesting comment here. 400,000 registered and only 150,000 were picked. Not fair. It's not.
It's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
It's not how
people
it works.
Don't get picked.
People had to take a second step and submit proof of identification.
Anybody can
that
register.
They were actually Canadian citizens, and that they lived in the district where they lived, so their vote could be counted in the district where they lived. Nobody was picked. People self-selected.
It's called checks and balances. Something that the Conservative Party didn't have in their last leadership convention.
It's called being an active participant in your democracy.
Yes.
There's a Liberal leadership convention. I would like to vote in that. I am going to register. I have to show my ID. Here's my ID. Here's your ballot. Here's time for vote. Oh, I'm going to fill it in and cast it. It's yes. All self-selection.
People aren't picked. It's up to you to do the work.
So, Ruby Dalla, I'm not done yet. It's like, yeah, you are. And that was your last gasp for relevance. Unless we notice somewhere along the way that you are going to be one of the candidates under Pierre in the next election. Because surprisingly, I just found out yesterday that even though the Conservatives have been telling people forever and ever and ever that they want to go to an election. I mean, how many confidence votes have we had already?
3.
10? No. It's way more than that.
Oh, really? I thought it was only 3.
I think there's something like 10, because the Conservatives have like 5 opposition days, right, out of the 10. So they made every one of those, and then there are certain bills that are, money and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. So they tried to have non-confidence votes, but they didn't get enough people to vote with. I don't know. It's confused. I thought there were only 3.
But here's the thing. There's going to be 343 seats in the next election.
Mm-hmm. You expanded by 5.
Yeah. Well, I have a list of the number of confirmed candidates in each electoral district. The Bloc Québécois, they're not running in 343. They're running about maybe 78. There might be a couple more in Quebec with the redistribution. But they've got candidates nominated in 30 only. But the Bloc Québécois has been saying, I'm ready to go now. Mm-hmm. They don't even have candidates nominated in half the ridings yet that they're going to be running in. The Greens have candidates nominated in only 76, but they haven't been beating a drum. The NDP has been beating a drum. Mm-hmm. They only have candidates nominated in 130.
Yeah.
If an election were actually called, if Mark Carney actually went to the Governor General this morning, we'd be in the same situation as in Ontario, where a lot of parties would still have seats to fill. The Liberals have 164 candidates nominated, which in this case you would think is a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing, because Mark Carney, now that he's Prime Minister designate, wants to keep the buzz. Well, what better way of keeping the buzz than every day or two announcing a new star candidate that has agreed to run? or be involved with the party in somehow. That's how we did. That's how he did all his endorsements. His endorsements were not coming all at once. There was like 2 one day and 3 another
Has there
day and
been
1 another
any
day.
indication of where he wants to run, what riding he wants to run in?
Some talk about someplace either in Ottawa, because he lives in Ottawa. His home is Rockcliffe, or Edmonton, where he grew up.
Okay.
Somewhere around
I
there.
wasn't sure.
Edmonton would be an interesting one, because if he would win it, it would be taking an Alberta seat
Yes.
off the column, and the seat for which he could run in Ottawa would probably be safely in Liberal hands, with any other local candidate that was qualified and community involved. So who knows on that one? But
This question here, though, from Saucy Sea, which no one is ready for this election. Why is Singh demanding an election if he didn't have the bodies for the seats? I don't know. Maybe
And
he's
the bloc.
delusional.
But
He can't win.
Yeah, but get ready for this, right? Mark Carney. So the Liberals have 164. So what I predict is going to happen now is that over the next few days, you're going to see, oh, this person has decided that they're going to run. It's like, oh my God, it's our candidate. Word on the tweet is that Carney had approached Jean Charest to ask him. Now, I'm not sure if the ask was to ask him if he wanted to run as a candidate or be involved in some type of way. Jean Charest made it very clear that he's not interested in being a cabinet member. I don't think he wants to run for electoral politics anymore. He's done. But word on the tweet, it's sort of like, well, if you do win, give me a call after the election, and if there's a way I can help in an advisory capacity. There is also some talk going on that there might have been some contemplation of Christy Clark in some way. I would very strongly advise against that.
Yes.
Do not do that. And he has brought in as his chief of staff. I'm not sure if that's the chief of staff merely for the transition. I would assume it's merely for the transition. Marco Mendocino, which creates a little controversy. There's some people in the Muslim community who already are not too happy about that. Again, not sure why that pick, because it just adds unnecessary noise. But I'm pretty sure that Marco Mendocino has not been picked to be the main guy, because he's planning to run for mayor of Toronto, I believe, when that next opportunity comes. So he's not planning to be chief of staff for the long haul. So it might just be a transitional thing. But those are some chess pieces that have been moved along the way. The PPC, Max Bernier Party, has 239 candidates confirmed.
Interesting.
And the Conservatives have 2 more, 241. So even the Conservatives are short 102 candidates. And they have been the ones that have been beating the drum nonstop since September.
Yes. But they don't have enough candidates, so that makes it interesting. So they can't form government either.
Well, I mean, they will be naming candidates during the election. If like Mark Carney, if Mark Carney went to the governor general today, and she said yes, and the writ was drawn today. Well, Sunday. Writs are usually drawn on Sundays. Elections usually happen on Mondays by tradition. They would have to be confirming during the election period who candidates are in certain seats, as was the case for the Liberals and the NDP in Ontario, which is not a great situation. So again, this sort of makes it very clear that all the time that the Conservatives were calling for that election, knowing that they were not going to get it because there was going to be one party that was going to do it. It was all political performance art, because they didn't have the candidate, because they didn't have the candidates nominated.
Of course it was.
And now we have the Bloc Québécois leader like this, who just said like this, well, if Mark Carney wants to go now, then sort of like bring it. You don't have candidates nominated in even half the districts in Quebec, Monsieur Blanchet.
Yeah. So it's a bunch of hot air. Smoke and mirrors is all it is.
So the thing is, if the Liberals do decide to go now, relatively quickly, let's say, a lot of people are saying like this, he could announce as soon as tomorrow. I personally doubt that's going to happen. This might be another like week or so. The transition, like, he's not even sworn in yet as prime minister. Yeah. He's got to be sworn in. He's got to go to the governor general, and he's got to name some type of cabinet first. Whether or not they go to the parliament, that doesn't matter. Cabinet prorogation is lifted and Parliament is supposed to resume on March 24th.
Oh, and a note about prorogation. You know that there was a lawsuit about it.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we mentioned that, and they lost.
It was struck down.
Yeah, well, not struck down. Sorry, the case was dismissed.
Dismissed. Sorry, you're correct. Correct.
Yeah,
The case was dismissed.
Now, according to Evan Scrimshaw, he's got something that we might read into the record at one point. The way that the judge got to the decision was maybe not could maybe create some legal problems.
Oh, okay.
I think I mentioned. I think I might have read it. Not sure. I have to go back and listen to the episode.
Might have been last week.
Yeah, it was the right decision. Basically, the court case was arguing the judge the argument that was being made is that given that the Governor General usually follows the advice of the Prime Minister, the Governor General is merely a rubber stamp in the process. So therefore, no problem. It's like no, the Governor General has full authority.
Correct.
To deny, and Christy Clark, for example, in 2017 in British Columbia, was denied that by the Lieutenant Governor, who is the representative of the Governor General, who is the representative of the monarch in the provinces. So it's the same systems. We have Westminster parliamentary systems in all the provinces, but not the territories. Right? That's this model.
Well, everybody needs to remember that we are a constitutional monarchy. We are not a republic.
Exactly. So, again, very recent enough history, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people who were commenting about this were alive when it happened. So,
well, one would think,
right? Especially if they've got gray hair. So,
maybe alive, but asleep.
But I'm just saying, like, these things are not new. All of these things have precedent. They're just not regular occurrences, but they're not new.
Well, I have to share something with you now that it's going to be quick and it's going to be informative because it's going to be a surprise. This is from this fella. Dear Americans, please be aware of this urgent fact. Today, 0.3% of the Canadian population, 129,000 out of 41 million, voted to install Prime Minister Mark Carney. We are officially under attack by globalist movement. Wait till you see who rebuts this statement. It is going to shock you. Because it shocked me, but he's correct. Spencer Fernando.
Oh, my word.
No, Canada is not under attack. This is how the Westminster system works. Carney was not installed. He was elected by members of the Liberal Party, just as Conservative Party members and NDP members elected their respective party leaders. If the Conservatives currently commanded the confidence of the House, the Conservative leader would be invited by the Governor-General to form government and become Prime Minister. The Liberals currently hold the confidence of the House, and Justin Trudeau is soon going to step down, meaning Mark Carney will be invited to form a government. All Canadians will soon have our say in federal elections. False claims of attack are both ignorant, showing no interest in how our system works, and dangerous because they can fuel the disgraceful annexation rhetoric from the U.S. I am shocked, but he's correct.
He's 100% correct.
100%.
Today, because I'm very tough on you, I raise my hat.
Yes.
Yay, civics. You did the right thing. You stood up.
He did the right thing. He did the right thing. And he rarely ever does that because he's very much a bipartisan hack.
But clearly,
he got the right.
Not to the point of betraying your country.
Credit where credit is due. A patriot who believes in the system, who understands the system, knows how it works, and just corrected somebody for lying.
Yes, believes way different things than we do on everything else. But on the thing that matters, gets it right and stands up to be counted when it is time to do so.
And then, of course,
that's how you do it.
That's exactly. There's a response. It says, Spencer, do you know if we've ever had an unelected prime minister go as far as using emergency powers the way Carney has indicated he plans on doing? And again, once again, Spencer Ferran, he's being correct here. He mentioned using emergency powers for energy products. Right. I wrote about projects, I wrote about something similar here. It is likely the only way to get pipelines constructed fast enough to deal with the economic assault we face from the United States. Right. Would likely be necessary for military procurement as well. So again, broken clock is right twice a day. He's right twice in one day, right there. I could go on further, I'm sure, but I
But
mean,
see, Spencer Fernando does not like the annexation rhetoric, and he knows
mhm,
that if you are actively spreading misinformation or actively misinterpreting the results of this vote, and 3% of the population, that's not how it works. That's math that does not apply.
that's correct.
That's like trying to calculate your mortgage. Because, using quadratic equations.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I do not care for Spencer Fernando. I find he says a lot of, he lies a lot. He says a lot of bullshit. He says a lot of garbage. But he stood up for the country. He does understand our system and how it works. He defended our system. He defended the country.
Yeah.
Like you said, he understands that this threat of annexation is very real.
See,
And
sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, if you don't stand together to stand up for the country, we will all fall apart.
Yeah. Sorry, I got excited by what you were saying.
So good.
But it's like Nate said yesterday, right? Good faith conversations.
Yes.
Spencer Fernando was somebody I would never consider having on the show.
No, never.
Conversations were bad faith. But if we were to discuss this subject,
Different story.
I would have him on the show.
Yes, different story here because he is speaking the truth. And
I wouldn't have him here in his capacity as Canadian Taxpayer Federation or all that type of stuff to discuss tax policy and all that. Like this, we get all the conservative media lines, whatnot. But here, why we are on opposite side of the spectrum, but here we agree.
Yes.
Is why did you make this statement then?
Exactly.
Right. So let's explore that. Why is that? Why is that moment? Why is this important to you? Why did you feel the need to do that? Why did you not feel the need to do the partisan thing you do as director with this?
Yeah.
Why is this moment? So this is a discussion that we can have that would be incredibly interesting. Why was this your red line?
I'm fascinated
and
by
then
it, but we'd have
why
to
is it-
literally stay on that topic because
But then,
anything
yes.
else.
But then again, why is it not the red line of certain people like Danielle Smith, who's going to on the stage of PragerU?
Yeah, she's in Texas right now. Yeah. So is
Scott Moe. Yeah, I saw somebody tweet something like about that. It's time to stand up for Team Canada on the way to Houston.
Excuse me, what? What?
Yeah, and of course Danielle Smith, of course, was being singularly unhelpful as well.
Mhm.
Right, because her first tweet, again, all the premiers, right? Rob Quenu, David Eby, Doug Ford, congratulations, Premier, Prime Minister Designate, or new Liberal leader Carney, blah blah. Danielle Smith coming in with her little bit of poison.
Again, all the leaders congratulated Carney, but one.
Mark Carney is not a friend of the oil patch.
He's from Alberta.
It's like he's been on the job not even 24 hours yet as Liberal leader. Give him a chance to put out some policy first. Maybe.
This one
It's
from
like, my God.
Edmonton
He's barely
Journal.
been named and she's got the knife between his shoulder blades already.
Of course she does. Edmonton Journal reports Smith defends using taxpayer dollars on traveling to the U.S. to appear alongside controversial podcaster.
Listen, I have a theory. Not theory, hypothesis, sorry. Theory has been proven. Hypothesis. I have a hypothesis. Danielle Smith, for the first time in her life, has not been able to make an issue go away with, that AHS thingy. It's messy and it's sticky and it's stickier. And a cabinet minister left suggesting that there might be reason to look into other types of procurement. Like, for example, we found out that one of the companies involved in this whole AHS thing also had an interesting real estate deal where they bought a property and flipped it a few months later for about $300,000 profit. And when they flipped it, they sold it to the government of Alberta somehow. So allegedly, that's what's in the news reports. Don't sue us.
It's
So
it's in the news reports.
it hasn't stopped.
I mean, the RCMP is investigating the whole situation, so you know.
I know. Well, that's the other thing now, right? The developments is the other development. So I think Danielle has understood that her career in Canadian politics is over for a while, and ironically, she's transitioning to a future career as a U.S. RWNJ celebrity / fixture. That would be my guess. I would not be surprised if one day we see her as one of the hosts on Fox News or OAN or something like that. She can't run for office there.
No.
So she's going to try to become one of these celebrities. I think she's going to, again, when she left politics, she moved to her radio show and then it's like back into politics. And now she's going to just like transition back. Yep. Time to spend a lot of time in the United States now. Done a lot of shows. Because, yeah, the jig is up here.
Clearly.
That is my hypothesis. We'll see how it pans out. But, things are not going to get better for her. But, of course, like I said, if she was on Team Canada for a little bit after Trump disappointed her, but she wasn't on it for long now, was she?
No.
Because if she really was disappointed in Trump, she'd be really wanting to slap, well, you know what? You screwed me over and you made me look terrible. I'm going to slap that extra 15% on that oil. I'll show you. Right? I mean, it seems more, Doug Ford did it. Doug Ford seems to be taking this real personally.
He slapped 25% tariffs on electricity. It's like he's okay. Look, you know how I feel.
He was family.
Well, I think so. You know how I feel about the man. It's not a secret. I dislike him strongly because I think he's a corrupt wannabe mob boss. But he seems to be back on Team Canada, and this time he says he's torn up the contract. How soon before we find out the contract is not actually torn up? Because I anticipate it's sitting on his desk still.
With Doug Ford, you have to believe it when it lasts, unfortunately.
Yes.
Not only when he says it, not only when he does it, because he will say it and he will do it. But the problem is that a Doug Ford's promise is only as good as long as the next Doug Ford promise. And sometimes you don't know to whom he made it and when he did.
Exactly.
That's the problem. So, and there's also the thing that with Doug Ford, you can usually count on him that even if he does the right thing, to do it the wrong way. Oddly enough, also in the category of giving credit where credit is due, Doug Ford recently had an appearance on American TV. Can't remember. Guy used to be on Fox, but then moved to network TV. He looks like Colbert a lot too. Can't remember his name. Shit. But with a network television,
Shepard Smith.
No, not him. I can't remember off the top of my head now. But Doug Ford was calm and relaxed and talking like this, not talking like this, and was poised and the most adult I've ever seen him. And I'm sitting there and I was like, so it's not that you're not capable of this.
No.
It's just that you choose not to. It was literally, hands down, the best I've ever seen Doug Ford perform. And like, not by a little.
Again,
not a cold mile or two.
Again, credit where credit is due. Now, what Saucy Seawitch is saying here, and I believe she's correct, Doug Ford is on Team Canada for as long as it benefits him. As soon as the winds change, he'll be back to selling off Ontario to other nations, just like Therm. I agree with that statement. I also agree with the statement you just made.
Yes.
You can hold those two things at the same time.
But it's like Doug Ford is like, I'm willing to sell Canada away to the highest bidder.
But not America.
Absolutely. But not if you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
It's like somebody found Doug Ford's red line too. It's like allegedly, I'm allegedly corrupt, but god damn it, not that corrupt.
Yeah, there's a limit.
It's like I may be fleecing my own. It's okay for me to fleece my own country, but somebody else. Oh. It's like, right?
Cool.
It's like I can insult my sister, but if you do,
like, hey, yo, paisan, you're on my territory, man. This is my territory. Not cool. Forget about it. Sorry if anybody was offended by my Italian American type accent.
So yeah, Doug Ford is emerging as a rather interesting character because he's still doing that AmCan thing, though. He's still trying to market that thing.
Yes.
Saying like, but I wish he'd stop too. But it seems more, from what I can tell, he's trying to present an off-ramp by which the Tangerine Tornado can save face somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, if you saw the stock markets yesterday,
yikes.
He still has not gotten that bounce. And I have a hypothesis on that too. It's that the market was shrugging off his threats before because, he talks and, doesn't really do it. But the first time he did it and then pulled them away, the stock market came back. But the second time, and then as he's threatening a whole bunch of tariffs on everybody else and a whole bunch of different things, and it's like it's a waiter. Today's tarif du jour is lumber and dairy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stock markets have just decided to price in the crazy.
It certainly appears
down.
Well, I had stock in Tesla, but I sold it off a while ago. I had stock in Shopify. I sold that off a while ago too.
Yeah.
Any company that is doing fascism or I don't know, supporting the annexation of our country, I'm selling it. I don't care, and I'll sell it at a loss. I don't give a shit. I'm divesting myself of anything that is harmful to this country. And by the way, the stocks that I buy, and I don't have many, and I don't have much, but I research all of them. I only buy stocks, and my mutual fund only purchases stocks that are blue chip and are ethical. And we do the research on the ethical part. If they are unethical, no, don't do it. I don't have any fossil fuel stocks of any type in any company, any oil company, and nor will I. I divested myself of a mining company years ago because I heard and read about how they were treating the employees. And do you know that some of the biggest mines in the world are owned by Canadian companies because we are the best at drilling, but they treat the local people who they hire pretty terribly. So it's like, no, I'm out. I cannot profit off of that. It's when they talk about somebody every now and then floats the idea of for-profit prisons in this country, and I'm like, nope, no, absolutely not. And when I've been approached by individuals, oh, well, look at this mutual fund here, and I go, let me see what's in it. And I go, no, they have for-profit prisons in it. I'm not investing in that. Like, no, you can make good money. I don't care. I do not want to earn money on the misery of others. Now, you could say the entire stock market does that. And to a degree, that is correct. That is correct. To a degree, that is absolutely correct. But some companies have ethics. Some companies are better than others. I choose to invest in those ones. I don't have much left because I've had to plow through most of it to keep my head above water.
Well, talking about that, George Takei, oh my.
Yes.
Posted yesterday. Oh my! Posted something called "Overheard: the Tesla Chainsaw Massacre." Yesterday at 1:15 p.m., Tesla shares were down 13.08% on the day.
Wow!
On the day, and then I went to take a look at the Tesla Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 year-to-date numbers. Since January 1st, 2025, Tesla stocks are down 41.43.
Yeah, they're totally in the toilet right now. Completely.
The Dow is down almost 6%.
That's huge.
The markets are pricing in the crazy, and Trump is getting a lot of internal pressure, even from people who believe in tariffs. Dude, shit, or get off the pot. But stop yo-yoing us. The whiplash is not okay. Commit to the tariffs and do them, or don't commit to the tariffs and don't do them. But don't do them one day and not another day, and this day's going to be this tariff, and this day not this tariff, and whatnot. But again, he's fucking with their money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. So,
it's a bad idea.
wait. And it appears, too, that there's also been some pressure with regard to Elon Musk. And it seems that Donald Trump now has to hold a meeting every 2 weeks with Elon Musk and the members of the cabinet together to make sure that Elon is not overstepping his boundaries. And Trump had to make it clear to the cabinet people in front of Elon in the meeting that they are the ones that make the decisions as to job cuts. Elon is just there to provide the information. Of course, maybe the pressure and the coercion. But Donald Trump now has to manage Elon every 2 weeks. And Donald Trump is not the type of person who likes to work.
No, he tells you he'd be working very hard, but the guy takes a $3 million golf weekend at Mar-a-Lago every weekend, sometimes in the middle of the week, I believe. Do you know how much he's already cost the American taxpayer in his golf trips? 40 or 50 million, I think. It's March. He was sworn in on January 20th.
Jeez.
He hasn't even been there 2 months.
Now, here's the thing. The Dow chart year to date is only down 1.13%. But it's down near 6% just this month alone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember at the inauguration, there was a lot of people from the tech world.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people paid their $1 million tribute. The NASDAQ, which is the one where all the big tech companies are, for the month is down 11.07%. And year to date, down 9%. So almost down twice as much. So all the tech bros that showed up with $1 million contributions and more and sat on the dais when Trump had his inauguration have seen their stock shares, at least on the NASDAQ, maybe not their individual stocks, but the NASDAQ, the whole tech stock, has gone down 9%. And people are talking maybe a black swan event coming.
Well,
tech bros, you might want to move your money. You might want to write off this very, very, very bad investment you have made. Because it's not going to get easier. The world hates you at the moment. And Canada is leading the parade. Nice, friendly, neighborly, polite, sweet. Everybody wants to be our neighbor. Canada. Well, everybody wants to be our neighbor except you. It seems. Canada.
yeah,
People are noticing.
It's twisted.
People are noticing. The world is changing. You haven't. Those of you who are still cheering for him, and those of you who are still enabling him, even though you know he's doing wrong, you have no idea what it is that you're doing to your country. The world is moving on without you very quickly. Very quickly. And that brings us back to Canada. Now, I fully expect at some point Trump to take credit for Justin Trudeau leaving, just like he took credit for Justin Trudeau allegedly firing Chrystia Freeland. It's not how it actually went down. Because remember a couple of days ago, he says he couldn't even tell me when he wasn't going to be prime minister anymore. Well, he's not going to be prime minister. Somebody tweeted the other day, gee, isn't he going to be surprised when he finds out he's no longer prime minister sometime next week? I said, nah, he's probably going to say that tweet did it. I told the world that he was going to try to hang on to power, I guess. So, and now I made it such that didn't happen because I tweeted that. Ain't that great? Because Donald Trump is really desperate for some wins right now. He hasn't been getting them in the stock market. And all the people that sold stuff, waiting for this particular dip, and then the bounce, have only gotten more dip. And in the stock market, they always say never try to catch a falling knife. And he put them in the situation where they tried to catch a falling knife. They're not going to be very happy with them very soon. He's going to have to pull back on something major to make those stock markets bounce back in a significant way. Listen, the NASDAQ is officially in correction territory right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the word Trump session is appearing a lot more in print. In fact, one of the reasons the stock market dropped so much is that Trump appeared to say yesterday that he was okay if there was some type of recession in order to get you to the United States to the other side where they'd be stronger, allegedly. We are talking about a guy who's bankrupted 6 casinos.
Yeah, 6 casinos. A casino.
Do you really think
virtual license to print money?
Yeah. Do you really think he would not bankrupt a treasury?
Well on his way. It's well on his way.
Do you really think he would not bankrupt a treasury? He's an endless gaping hole of unsatisfiable need. Do you think there's enough money in the entire United States Treasury to satisfy him?
No.
He will never have enough. We've talked about it on that show. The concept of having enough. He's one of these type of people who will never have enough. He will suck everything dry. Hey, look at Rudy.
Yeah. Yeah, he used him and threw him away.
Look where Trump is now. Look where Rudy is now.
Yeah. Night and day difference, right? He will stomp on anybody's back to get further up the ladder. He's the guy who pushes the heads down of people when they're drowning so he can get himself above the water. This is who he is. It's who he's always been.
America, you're Rudy. Or maybe you're even Michael Cohen, because remember what he did to Michael Cohen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Voted him, made sure he went to jail. Michael Cohen got out of jail, then wanted to publish a book, then used the full power of state to send him back in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be fooled. This is the type of person you're dealing with. You think I'm petty and vindictive. Jeez. I got nothing on that character. All right, which brings us back to Canada.
Well, just before we do that,
okay.
Just before we do that, I want to show you a quick clip of Trump, and then I want to show you something that a visualization that just blows up everything he says in this clip.
Okay.
So this clip is this was from 10 hours ago. So this was yesterday. It's from Fox News, and he's being asked a question. And well, he's being an asshole again. But that's his raison d'être.
Yes.
There was obviously a delay in implementing those tariffs.
I spoke to Governor Trudeau on numerous occasions, and we'll see what happens. But it just sets up so good for them. Look, the people would pay much less tax than they're paying right now. They'd have perfect military protection. They don't have any military protection because and you take a look at what's going on out there. You have Russian ships, you have China ships, you have
what the fuck
Chinese
is he talking
ships,
about?
you have,
Because
a lot of ships out there. people are in danger. This is a different world today.
Yeah, because of you, asshole. So,
Yeah.
and here's where I'm going to just defeat everything he said. They need our protection. Because I'm looking at North American Air Defense Identification Zones. And U.S. Air Defense Identification Zones are around the continental United States and Alaska. The Canada Air Defense Zone is on the coast of British Columbia, the entire east coast of Canada, all the way up to Ellesmere Island and touching on the U.S. border with Alaska. So again, exactly how are they defending or protecting us? And when he says we don't have a military, I can tell you something. Oh, sorry, I meant to take that graphic down. I can tell you something. Canadian military is going to be pissed. You want to know why the Germans called us stormtroopers? Because we stop at nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He is really, they're in danger. They need our protection. We need to be protected from you. You. That's the only person we need protection from. You.
Yep. Pretty much. So, coming back to Canada, when the votes were all count, 151,899 votes were cast. And you needed 1,700 and 151 points to win. That was the majority of the points. So we had 343 ridings. Every riding counted for 100 points. 34,300 divided by 2 plus 1, 17,151. Frank Bayliss got 4,038 votes of the votes cast for a total of 1,014 points and 3% of the vote, which, considering nobody really knew who he was, well, it was actually pretty good for a fringe candidate who wasn't very fringe at all, right? Karina Gould, this was surprising, picked up 4,785 votes for a total of 1,100 points and 3.2% of the vote. Chrystia Freeland, 11,134 votes for 2,729 points and 8% of the vote. And Mark Carney, 131,674 votes for 29,457 points out of 34,300 and 85.9% of the vote. It's a bigger margin of victory than Pierre Poilievre won his coronation, right, Ruby Dalla? Because that was a coronation too, right? Let there be no doubt that Mark Carney definitely, most definitely, has a mandate from the membership. Now, it would be easy to just poo-poo on Freeland and Karina Gould. I do not think that these numbers are reflective of the campaigns that they ran. And listen, the Carney movement and the big swing in the polls and all that, it's such a juggernaut, right? That there could have been a lot of people that had intended to vote for Gould or Freeland in the first phase that said, it's like, what's the point? And abandoned the process. It could have just been that the entire membership says, listen, this is the direction we need to go in. There's probably a lot of people that cast votes. Karina, you are great. You are absolutely fantastic. Like you said, the future of the party, but right now, this is the direction we need to go in.
Well, and that's what I've been saying for some time now. Look, I think she is the future of that party. I think she will be prime minister one day, and I think she will be a great prime minister. But right now, as I've said, and as many people have reluctantly agreed with me, and I was even reluctant to say it, we need an old white man to steady the ship during tumultuous times. It just instills confidence in a certain portion of the population.
Right. So, and particularly, more fiscally conservative, typically liberal voters who found that part of the party had been jettisoned. Mark Carney is sort of hearkening back to the old Chrétien Martin type days.
Mm-hmm.
Fiscal discipline. Yes. There's a lot of people that want that, and they're attracted by that message. And it's in that space that the conservatives have abandoned. on the center right in order in their defense to not lose vote share to the PPC right. So the Liberals are moving. They're sensing the public move that way, so they're moving. And that's the thing that I've explained on the show at one point, is that the Liberals, because the NDP seem to be going further left and making identity politics, like, like making the Gaza thing a major thing for their party as opposed to something having to do with Canada. And the Conservatives are way too busy trying not to lose vote share to the PPC. The center has become way wider, right? So to use an allegory, the Liberals have to manspread really far to occupy the part on the left and the part on the right that the NDP and the Conservatives have vacated. But that means that the Liberal Party, when they sense that the economic times are good and we want to do things for people, can shift to the space vacated by the NDP and occupy more left. And things are getting a little tight. Then just shift to the center right. And then just because all the other parties have vacated that room.
Oh yes,
completely.
I need a
we
coffee.
Saw that.
Right back.
Yeah, and we saw that in the people that they had come to give the speeches, because they had Mark Carney, they had Justin Trudeau, of course, and then the guest speaker, Jean Chrétien, from the era to which Mark Carney is trying to harken back. So there was some interesting programming there. But this type of a lopsided win is usually an indication that the majority of a party or a movement or whatever the voting bloc is in a vote has just very clearly decided on a direction that we need to go there. And in the process, people who may have competed well and have been appreciated don't get the recognition that they deserve, because the strength of the actual movement or the sense of the direction in which we need to go is so clear and so strong that you can't help but vote for that, right? And you want to support that. You want to give that mandate and that strength. Now, that's not to say that there haven't been issues. Chrystia Freeland, as we mentioned on the show, her main issue from her entire campaign seemed that she did not seem to be able to put a frame on her candidacy, on the why. Why was she running? Why her? And she didn't seem to have a clear 30-second or less answer to why it is she did what she did in order to remove the prime minister. And there was an answer available, right? She had to lean really more into the fact, as someone in finance, I'm seeing the winds change and we need to make a very hard pivot. The things that we did are things that I believe in. You saw me support them. I do this, but the dark clouds are coming in real fast. This is not time. We don't have time to turn the entire ship around. It takes time to turn a ship around. It's like we need to make a hard break, and leave some rubber on the road as we're changing direction. That was the explanation. And then with everything that Trump did that followed, that would have lent credence to her position. Look how fast he's whiplashing everything. I told you we needed to make a hard pivot. And then she seemed to want to frame herself as the man-eater. Putin's afraid of me, kick me out of the country. Trump's afraid of me. He doesn't want to be in a negotiating room with me once again. Yes, and I'm the one who took Trudeau out. I did the thing that you all wanted, that you were too afraid to do. So when Trump's going to be there, put me in the room with him, because I have to do it. I'm going to say the balls, but we're talking about a woman. By the way, that one keeps on reminding me of a Betty White joke. They say people grow some balls or whatnot like this. Now grow a vagina. Those things could take a pounding.
It wasn't actually Betty White who said that. She was attributed to her,
White.
but it wasn't her.
It was Betty. Okay.
No, it was a comedian.
Betty White. Okay. So
it was an American, a young male comedian who made the joke in New York
Right.
City, but it was attributed to Betty White. But yeah, it's like people say, grow a pair. It's like, don't grow a pair. You flick him like that and a man will drop to his knees. Grow a vagina. Those things can take a pounding. But it was not Betty White.
It was not Betty White. Okay. But Christopher Freeland had, quote unquote, the lady balls required to plunge the knife right in the front. Right? Listen, people attribute a lot of the financial thing to her. So she didn't get the full credit, and people probably didn't like the dirty laundry being aired in public, even though the deed needed to be done. Right? There are also a lot of people wondering now, watching Justin Trudeau go and seeing the bounce in the polls, because a lot of the polls that show that there's a bounce, the ones that are in the aggregate, all mention either a generic Liberal Party with no leader or Justin Trudeau as the leader. So, Justin Trudeau might be going, sitting there going, gee, just 3 more months and it would have been proven right that I had the stuff and that he would be like this and that I would be the guy and I would be the countertone to this crazy that's going on south of us. But it was not meant to be. But so there were actual problems with her campaign. Now, she did work very, very, very much on her telegenics and her communications issues. She really did. And you could see the work that was put in. But it wasn't enough because the membership very clearly saw where it is that we needed to go. Now, on the upside or downside for her, it's really hard to say because she said that she is indeed going to run again. I think she might be reconsidering that at some point. But she was the one that that was first out in the leadership campaign to ask that the people that were there to pledge that they were going to run in the next election, regardless of the result. I guess that was a way to sort of corner Mark Carney in case he was just a visiting type of person like Ignatieff, right? So, but they all committed to still run. So if they commit to run and she does run and then she does win, unfortunately for her, this result means that she probably can't name her position if she's going to be in cabinet, in the Mark Carney cabinet. Now, there's no reason to suggest that she is not going to be, even though maybe it might be a good idea for him to not put her in cabinet in some ways. But they are extremely, extremely, extremely close friends. I think one of them is the godparent to the other one's child. So they have a genuine friendship. And you can see that in the debates because on the Palestinian issue, he saw that he had misspoken French and she handed him a lifeline, right?
Yes.
It's like, no,
yes.
this is what you mean, right? So they're good friends. The other reason where she may actually run is the one thing Chrystia Freeland is known for is standing up for territorial sovereignty and that type of movement, right? She got on she caught the attention of the KGB for what she was doing in Ukraine.
Back when she was a teenager, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Was she 18 or 19? She was very young at the time.
It's very young. This Putin banned her for a reason. Right? She was the key person when everything started happening between Russia and Ukraine to make sure that those sanctions were applied right. She led the world in that because nobody knew Putin better than her. In the trade deal with Trump, she got under his skin so badly that he wanted her gone. Never had anything. If Trump never has anything nice to say about you, and he actually signed a deal that you were in a room with him for, it's because he respects you. But he needs to pick you down, especially if you might be in a room with him again. So, Chrystia Freeland has already been Minister of Foreign Affairs and has already been Minister of Finance. Dominic LeBlanc's Minister of Finance, and given what's going on now, and he's got the contact point, that's probably not going to change. If there's one position in the entire cabinet that's probably going to remain the same, guaranteed to remain the same, between Trudeau's cabinet as he was leaving and Carney's cabinet as he's coming in, is Dominic LeBlanc at Finance and Border Security. Mélanie Joly at Foreign Affairs might be the second one. Everything else is movable. Chrystia Freeland could end up at international trade, which would put her back in the room with Trump, which would kind of be delicious, I must admit. Like, Justin Trudeau as ambassador to the United States would also be a little delicious. But if Justin Trudeau ends up being an ambassador somewhere, it probably would be ambassador to the EU because he's probably leaded more there. He's respected there and he can bring people together, especially if that was his full-time job. If Trudeau ends up with an ambassadorship, he could end up at the head of an organization too. Right?
Well,
Like
I
an
think you should make him an
OECD or
ambassador to the United States of America.
well, that's what I think too, to like really like this. But then given how crazy everything is down there, like, you know, it's like maybe we want to keep him physically safe.
Yes, yeah,
Because, but
that's true. Oh, we
but
have a good ambassador there too.
oh
I'm
yes,
not
oh yeah,
diminishing that.
Kristen Hillman's amazing.
She's
But
great.
but it's like it's just sort of like, you know, it's like it's one of those things like, hey, why not nominate Obama to the Supreme Court? It's just one of those little needling
hmm
because we're petty. But it would not surprise me that after a little bit of rest and time to connect with family, that Justin Trudeau could end up ambassador to the EU. Just putting it out there. So we have a prime minister designate. Transition has not yet happened. It will. There was some talk. Pundits get to talking, all that kind of stuff that could happen as quickly as tomorrow, might be a couple of extra days. And then when people are talking about other stuff, what's next to come, they're looking at suggesting, because Mark Carney himself has said that the transition would be fast and seamless between him and Trudeau. So it's probably not going to take an incredible amount of time. A lot of people are expecting that dissolution of Parliament will happen between the 19th and the 23rd of March, because it's supposed to reconvene on the 24th. And that voting day would be at the earliest April 22nd, most likely April 28th, and maybe 1 week, and potentially 1 week later into the first week of May, around there, because election periods are usually 37 to 51 days. And since elections usually happen on a Monday, would be 37, 44, or 51 days after the writ is drawn, and writs are usually drawn on Sundays. Typically, doesn't mean that this is what will happen, but people are sort of looking around that. So we might have April 28th, May 5th ish,
somewhere in that
for an election date is what's being projected at the moment.
Remains to be seen. I mean, it's being bandied about. Does it happen? Probably.
Yeah.
But there's we've got nothing written in stone that it's going to happen then.
Yeah.
There's no writ. There's nothing. I mean, he's not sworn in yet.
Yeah. And the thing is that for reconvening Parliament, listen, there's a case for reconvening Parliament and trying to pass a couple of things. There definitely is. However, given that the NDP may suddenly not be too keen to go into an election, neither the Bloc, because they're losing support too. They say that they are. But if Parliament was to reconvene, and Carney does want to go now, with two opposition parties who keep on talking a good game but may not really want to go right now, the Liberals would have to find a way to engineer their own defeat, which is a little trickier.
One would think.
When everybody already wants to take you down, sure, you know what? Let's go in, call Parliament. Let's give this fabulous, fantastic speech from the throne. Oh, that one passes. Okay, great. Okay, we've got the supplementary estimates. That one passes too. Okay, now we get a vote on the budget, or somebody in a vote of confidence. Okay, boom. Now we take the government. We take them down. Okay, but you've passed a bill already, and you've put out your whole vision in the speech from the throne. I mean, these are two big moments for you, and you got everybody. You got the support of the House on your vision initially, that even though the other parties are setting you up, you can still go to the cameras and go like, they voted for the speech for the throne. I don't understand why they changed their minds just 2 weeks later. Right? So in that case, the Liberals could have gone for it. But if you have to kind of engineer your own defeat because the NDP is not sure they want to go anymore because they don't want to be reduced to 13 or 14 seats, well, that's a little messier. You probably just want to show that you have the control and the power and that you're confident and just pull the plug before Parliament resumes. at that point. I mean, if we're talking narratives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Grizzly, I would like to show. I don't want the show to go long. I wanted to show some snippets. You know what we'll do? We'll save the Prime Minister and Mr. Carney for tomorrow, and we'll talk about Jean Chrétien.
Did a pretty good speech. So did Ella Grace.
Yes. Actually, you know what? Let's do that too before we get into Jean Chrétien. By the way, kids and cubs, because our previous show was on Friday, and yesterday we had a pre-record. We haven't said it yet, but of course, Saturday was International Women's Day.
Yes, we did not, because we didn't have a chance to get to it because yesterday was a pre-record, like you said.
Right, and it's also Women's History Month. So, in this context, Ella Grace Grégoire Trudeau, who is 16, and Chloe Carney, who is a first-year student at Harvard, both introduced their parents at the convention. Both received incredible amount of praise. I would incredible is not the wrong word. I mean, incredible in terms of the quantity. It was incredible that they received praise. Received a impressive amount of praise. Now, Ella Grace is 16, of course, presented as a 16-year-old would. Was charming, clear, poised, extremely articulate, had good pacing, good delivery.
Chip off the old block. And I mean the old block as in her grandfather.
Yes.
That's who she reminded me of.
Yep. Very, very good. And then Chloe came in, and I was wondering, because I didn't know the ages before, and I was saying, it's like, it's, Ella really presented as 16, but well, she's really presenting as like, so, oh yeah, first year Harvard. Okay, so she's a little older and, like this, and clearly smart.
Following in Daddy's footsteps.
Boy, oh, crap. Both of them are impressive young women. And again, kids might be a stretch with regard to Chloe Carney, but the kids are all right.
Oh, yes. Let's have a look.
Oh, my God.
This is pretty special. I did appreciate it. Just load it up here. Here we go.
Liberals, please welcome Ella Grace Trudeau. Amis libéraux.
All right, this is the daughter of Justin Trudeau. She is, I believe, 16 years old, Ella Grace, who's going to come out and introduce her dad. When I talk to Liberals about who could be the next politician in the Trudeau family, this is who I am pointed to, Ella Grace. So let's see how she introduces her dad right now.
Hi, everyone. I've come here to talk to you about your Prime Minister, your leader, but to me, it's just Dad.
I think we all know that being a Prime Minister is not the easiest job in the world. Long days of work, stress, media attention.
It's not that easy to be the kid of a Prime Minister either. I've been trying hard to live the life of a normal teenager, but I think you can imagine it's not that simple of a task. La sécurité, les règles,
security, rules, drama have all stopped me feeling free over the past few years. The number of times who spoke to me about him as if he wasn't my father. So that led me to doubt the integrity of some people.
I've had some great conversations with my dad about the difficult situations I've lived through, and he never failed to make me feel better. He listened, and more than that, I knew he heard me, he understood me, because he lived through all that.
Yeah.
The only difference is that back then there was no social media. Imagine constantly seeing your dad or even news about him as you scroll through your feed. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him at home and less of him online. But I would never trade the last few years for anything. Dad, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to have seen you fight for our country, for what you believe in, for what we, in this room, believe in. Fier de t'avoir vu.
Proud to have seen you fight for those in need.
I'm extremely grateful to have lived these experiences and grateful to those around me who have made it even just a little bit easier.
I'm so lucky to have been able to experience so much, to meet so many extraordinary people, to see so many beautiful things and
I will
places.
never forget the memories I've made, it be at Harrington Lake, on official trips, or even just at home. And I'm really looking forward to making some new memories of a different kind. My brothers and I have shared our dad with you for the past 12 years. Now we're taking him back. But before we do, I guess you can have him one last time. Please welcome your Prime Minister, my dad, Justin Trudeau.
Okay, that was Ella Grace Trudeau, very put-together 16-year-old.
So there you go. Again, like I said, presents like a 16-year-old, but come on, not
Do you
an
remember?
everyday 16-year-old.
Do you remember in 2000 when Justin Trudeau delivered the eulogy for his father at his funeral?
Yep.
He was 20 years old at the time.
Yep.
And he finished the eulogy and he broke down because it was his father's funeral. You know, who wouldn't? He held it together the whole time, which was amazing to me.
Right.
And I remember Peter Mansbridge at the time said, I think we're looking at a future prime minister.
Yep.
Dare I say it, if she chooses to follow in the family's footsteps, if she chooses to go into politics, I think she could be prime minister one day.
All right. Now the next one, Mr. Grizzly, I'll ask you to go to 234.44. And kids and cubs, if you have not seen her, this is Chloe Carney. And again, performing incredibly well.
Oops.
That Mark
good
Carney will
evening.
give as Liberal leader of
Bonsoir.
Canada.
I'm going to try and deliver this speech with as much grace and poise as Ella Grace. I, too, am introducing my father tonight because I want Canadians to understand what kind of a man he is. And who is better qualified to speak on his character than his daughter? My father is, to his core, a man of commitment. I don't just mean that in a general sense. He is unflinchingly dedicated to what matters, focused and principled, funny and kind. Canadians care about actions, and my father is a man of action, a man who has traveled the length of Canada to hear what Canadians want from their leaders, what they want for their future. He's up early to read his papers and stays up late preparing for the next day. He has taught me the importance of always putting in the work. But you can work hard all you want. If you don't have a solid foundation, there's nothing to build on. And that's what I really want to share with you tonight, the foundation that makes my father who he is. He is unwaveringly supportive of the things he cares about. Every year for our birthdays, he burned us CDs, and somehow they were good. Sometimes now, when we don't know what to get him, we make him a playlist. He cheered me on in the freezing cold at my cross-country races. He sat for hours to help me with my math homework, persevering until I understood. I can tell you that I appreciate this more in hindsight than I did at the time. In all seriousness, my dad invests in what matters. He expects nothing to come without hard work, and he is always ready to work hard. The bottom line is, however hard things may seem, he shows up and never lets you down. He has and always will show up for you, for Canadians, and for Canada, because he cares about this great country. Now, my father, your new Liberal leader, and the 24th Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. Merci.
Again, I think I've been calling her Chloe. Sorry, Cleo Carney.
Cleo.
Sorry, Cleo, not Chloe.
Miss Cleo. Call now.
Yes. Call now. I look into your future, Pierre Poilievre. It's going to be very messy. So again, poised, clear, concise, and again, making the point, he invests in what matters.
Mm-hmm.
She matters.
Oh, yes.
Right? Central banker of Canada, England. Climate envoy from the UN on finance and global action. Still has time to show up to the cross-country races.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the New York Times byline the other day. It was former banker, now Prime Minister of Canada. Just former banker? Really? Really? I think you buried the lead on that one, New York Times. Former governor of the Bank of Canada. Former governor of the Bank of England.
Hey, at least this time when Trump says Governor Carney.
He can respond, well, I gave that position up a few years ago. I'm currently Prime Minister.
Sorry, I'm cackling.
No, it's fine.
Now, like I said, well, we'll talk about the Prime Minister and Carney tomorrow because the Prime Minister and Carney both gave their acceptance speeches.
Mm-hmm.
But given that we've got limited time today, I'm going to talk about an old pro, because yesterday what we happened is that we had 3 generations of Liberal leadership.
Yes. Before we get to that, I wanted to address, and we had talked about this earlier, I wanted to address Pierre Poilievre and his commentary and his speech that he delivered yesterday. It was yesterday. It was brutal. It was partisan. It was filled with lies. Once again, he cannot help himself. And I do not understand why the media just lets him spew this and never hits back and say, sir, that is a falsehood. That is a lie. They just let him get away with it. Time and time and time again. It is so frustrating to sit there and watch the leader of the opposition lie to us outside of the House of Commons, by the way, where he does not have parliamentary privilege, and never get held to the fire for it. He never is held responsible for any of the lies he tells. Why is that? Is it because media is largely controlled by American hedge funds? Is it because, I don't know, certain powers that be want him in position so that he can cut their taxes and our services and put more money in their pockets? I mean, you watched the Liberal Leadership Convention the other day. I know you did. I did. I didn't watch the entire thing, but I did watch portions of it. And there were times where I had to mute Rosie Barton because of the way she was carrying on. She's absolutely insufferable and completely partisan. She shows no credibility as a bipartisan individual. I'm sorry, she's lost all credibility for me.
She's not supposed to be bipartisan. She's supposed to be politically neutral.
Impartial.
Politically impartial, sorry. Yes.
Yes. Impartial. And she's not. And it showed during that leadership race. She was not impartial at all. She was very partisan. It's like, oh.
It's disappointing.
So, you know, what's at play here? Like, what is going? I used to have a great deal of respect for her, but she's flushed it down the toilet. And somebody said, well, that's because she said things about the guy you like. No, that's not it at all. It's because.
Framing.
Pardon?
It's framing.
It's her framing. Exactly. Exactly. She can say whatever the hell she wants about any political leader, but spread it out evenly. Don't just dump on one guy and let the other guy get away with the lies. Yep. That's the thing I have to take umbrage with. That is the problem. That is the issue at hand here. They are letting him get away with it and then holding another guy who's been in power for, oh, that's right, he hasn't even been sworn in yet. And they're holding his feet to the fire.
There's a reason the Conservative Party won't send any Conservative MP to power in politics when David Cochrane is hosting.
Yeah, because he'll eviscerate them. I
mean,
remember the interview she had with Mark Carney?
Yep.
And how he pushed back on her, and she did not like that. She did not like that. Well, too bad, Rosie. You pushed against a guy who came to play. I had, like I said, I had respect for her. She's burned it to the ground.
So, yep. There's a lot of talk about that. I'm a little more in the middle camp, but in this particular race and that particular show, the leadership convention show, it was brutal. There were some framing issues that needed to be worked on there. Yeah, undoubtedly, that is an objective truth for that particular coverage.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is.
So did you have a clip of Pierre?
I do.
Okay.
We'll watch just a minute or two of this because it's just. I won't even get into his narcissist part, which is we'll just watch. We'll watch a little bit of it. Here you go.
Thank you very much for coming, everyone. Now in English. The Liberal establishment has installed Justin Trudeau's economic advisor as the next.
Okay, first lie. What is that? 5 seconds?
2 lies.
Two lies in the first 5 seconds.
Because he was not Trudeau's economic advisor. He was one of many people who at some point provided some economic advice to Trudeau.
Correct. Installed? No, he was elected. We'll continue.
Liberal leader to trick Canadians into giving Liberals a 4th term in power.
No.
But he's just like Justin, and he's more of the same.
What?
Tricking is what you do.
That's
because you lie.
Every
if you
day.
need to lie, you're tricking people. You're deceiving. So
He just what's that? 4 lies in 15 seconds? We'll continue.
We have the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal advisors, the same Liberal promises, who will produce the same Liberal results.
Okay, well,
actually not true.
Well, we didn't the same Liberal MPs because we haven't created a new cabinet yet. The man hasn't even been sworn in yet.
We haven't had a parliamentary election. Of course, it's going to be the same MPs.
Yes.
Unless he brings people from external and throws them into the cabinet, of course, the cabinet are going to be comprised of the same MPs because we did not have another election. The advisors are not going to be the same because he's going to form his own PMO with his own advisors and own people. Right? None of this is This is, again, more wish casting. This is stating as fact that which you wish, want, or need to be true for what you're going to say next to be able to work.
Correct.
He's inventing a reality that does not exist in order to be able to then try to smash that reality with whatever solution he's got planned today.
We'll continue.
Doubling housing costs, doubling the debt, doubling lineups at food banks, enriching the global elites at the expense of the working class, and making our economy more helpless and reliant on the Americans than ever before.
Okay. The main reason for which Danielle Smith can brag about having other markets to export oil right now is because the current prime minister expended a metric shit ton of political capital on building you a damn pipeline to Tidewater. He literally did the one thing. Yeah, he literally. I know. He literally did the one thing your party promised to do and raised millions of dollars off Canadians and didn't get an inch of it done.
Nope.
Is to expand our options. If anybody made sure that we remained reliant on the United States, it was you guys by simply refusing to respect the Supreme Court when they told you you needed to consult with Indigenous people. Had you just respected the court rather than raise more money, fleecing it from people by portraying the judges as activists, and that we needed some type of judicial reform, you would have had these pipelines built. Because you would have been the ones who would have been able to take credit for diversifying our economy away from the United States. You did not build that. As President Obama once said, you didn't build that. You didn't build that. Conservatives did not build that.
They only tear down. They don't build.
You guys made sure that for a decade we remained reliant on the United States by not doing the thing that you needed to do. Just follow the law and consult with the people you needed to consult to make sure that we could build the damn pipelines.
We'll continue.
Get the F out of here with this BS.
Oh, it just continues. We'll continue with this video for as long as we can handle it.
Now, Mark Carney is trying to hide from his record over the last 5 years of advising Trudeau in favor of raising carbon taxes, money printing inflation, and blocking resource projects, all while he...
Okay, none of that is true, and he just said he's going to cancel the consumer carbon tax.
If that is true, then...
Carbon regulatory recovery fee, let's be right, technically.
Yeah, if that is true, show us the documentation with Mark Carney's advice to do those specific things. Again,
I'd love to see that, yeah.
When someone gives advice, it does not make you bound to following it.
No.
There's a difference between paying someone from advice and actually taking that advice and implementing it. He is literally saying that everything that Justin Trudeau implemented came on the advice of Mark Carney.
That is factually...
Mark Carney was too busy living his life to provide that much advice constantly to a government.
No kidding.
He moved his company headquarters and jobs to the United States. You know, it's ironic. Mr. Carney is trying to distract from his many scandals and conflicts of interest, as well as his disastrous record as Justin Trudeau's economic advisor.
Okay.
What many conflicts of scandals and interest? Which ones? He's been the central banker from Canada and England with zero controversy whatsoever. There's not one bad thing about him anywhere in the press.
No.
His multiple scandals. Which ones, Pierre? Just say it, and we'll take care of the rest. But he's not MAGA. He's Canada first.
When it suits him.
By talking about Trump. He's the guy that sold out to Trump. 6 days after Donald Trump threatened Canada with tariffs to steal our jobs, Mark Carney announced to Brookfield shareholders that he would move his headquarters from Canada to New York. And when you asked him about it, he lied to your face.
No, he didn't.
We got it in writing, and we proved it.
No, you didn't.
He sold out Canada. He put his profit ahead of our people. And he did exactly what Donald Trump wanted. Never before have we had a prime minister so conflicted and compromised, and yet so little scrutinized.
Oh, my God. The man isn't even prime minister yet. He's not sworn in yet. And this guy's already trying to burn him to the ground. I can't wait to see a debate with these two. He will try and pull what Rosie pulled on him, and Mark Carney will cut him down. Do you think he'll even show up? Or will he pay the $50,000 fine and avoid it? Let's continue. for as long as we can handle it. Tell me when you've had enough. Just wave the white
I've
flag.
already had enough. He's going to, if he's already reporting the Brookfield lie, I'm guessing that the rest of the speech is stuff that he's already said before that didn't get picked up the last few times on CBC because they didn't carry it live.
Yeah. Well, let's continue for another minute or two, and then we'll kill it because we'll put it out of its misery.
Just like when he supported carbon taxes in Canada while investing in American coal. He opposed Canadian pipelines while his company bought Middle East pipelines. He has millions of dollars of financial interests that run against Canada's national interests. He gets rich making Canadians poor. You can be sure about one thing. Donald Trump's.
Is this the guy that doesn't own properties that people rent?
Mm-hmm.
As we have a housing crisis.
Yeah.
Talking about other people getting rich while girl.
Yeah. Oh, and he's the Bitcoin boy, right?
Yeah. Girl. Come on.
I know. Oh, it gets better.
He's going to have a briefing on his desk of all of Mark Carney's American investments. And he is going to leverage all of Carney's profit motive against the interest of the Canadian people.
Except he put it in a blind trust.
Will sell out Canada for his personal profit. He's already done it.
This is conservatives speaking of others about things they themselves do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
They cannot imagine a world in which somebody that had that type of financial advantage would not use it to try to screw someone over. So they assume everybody else does. He's also talking about Canada, like we're in the United States. In the United States, for some reason, there is no laws barring any type of insider trading
None.
from U.S. representatives. They can get a piece of information and go on like this. In Canada, we have very, 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 very strict rules against that.
Yes, you will go to jail for that if you break those rules.
That's another way we're not like them.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about us like we're them.
Of course he is. Of course he is. We'll continue for a little bit longer.
He's systematically done it his entire time as a corporate insider. Giving the Liberals a fourth term will not change any of that.
Okay, that
Carney
right
puts
there.
himself first.
So that right there, if he cannot prove it, that is a libelous statement.
Correct.
Throughout his entire career outside like this, he has always used his advantage to enrich himself in unethical. That.
There's no parliamentary privilege. He is outside of the House.
Sue him.
I know exactly where he's standing. He's outside of the House. It's not in the House of Commons. Once you step out of that chamber, your parliamentary privilege ends at the door. He's stepping in it right now.
Conservatives will put Canada first. Putting Canada first means cutting bureaucracy and taxes. It means passing a big, beautiful, bring-it-home tax cut.
Not
lowering
a thing.
Tax rate.
No, it means cutting taxes for the wealthies and services for the rest of us.
Rates on work, investment, energy, and home building. It means axing the carbon tax for real, for good, for everyone, forever. It means repealing the Liberal No New Pipelines Law C-69 and instead granting rapid permission to our...
I'm done. Pull the ripcord. That's the stump speech again. No new pipelines. Money. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do that. I can't tell you how, but we need to. Pierre is very good at pointing out problems and very good at pointing you in the direction of who to blame. But after that, he's got nothing for you. It's that simple. After that, he's got nothing for you. Okay. So from one old pro to another pro. On that stage, we had three generations of Liberal leadership. Chrétien, Trudeau, and the generation to come with Carney. Except we'll get to Trudeau and Carney on the next show because for the Prime Minister, that was probably his last big public speech.
I would
and I think as a matter of respect, we should show it in its entirety. So, and we're already at 2 hours, so we're not going to do that today. And Mark Carney, this might be his acceptance speech, might be the speech that he makes that the most Canadians see before there's something really big on the campaign. So again, probably a good idea to show it in its entirety if you missed it. So, and doing both of those would probably add another 30 minutes to the show, if not more, 40. So we'll skip that. But we will go to an old pro, Kits and Cubs, Jean Chrétien, who at 91 clearly has still got it. Now, there were a couple of moments in the speech, if you watched it all, where either he lost his line on the text he was reading, or maybe had an issue swallowing, trying to get his breath. That looked like there was like a long pause. And before we start making Joe Biden-like things, whenever that thing that was going on happened, was back right on script where he was, and kept on. So I'm thinking there was maybe another issue or whatnot happening. Now, he spoke, of the three, he's the one that spoke the longest. And it's very important here, right? Remember, because Carney, the Liberal Party, is making that move back to sort of the more Chrétien-Martin fiscal sort of policy. Because that's what Carney is looking at. Carney has lots of admiration for Jean Chrétien. But this point here in his speech, it's 2:11:38, Mr. Grizzly, to about 2:22:22. And if possible, I would like to play it all the way through for full impact. This was the best part. Right. So he started talking about lots of stuff, like this was his 9th convention and the 7th time he's spoken. He's been coming since 1958 when we had Lester B. Pearson, who turned out to be a pretty good prime minister, ultimately. Right. And then brought us all through, like, what Liberals stand for: the party of the charter, and party of affirmative action, party of, a woman's right to choose, and all that, like this, and bringing people along. And then we get to current day. That's where you see the guy still got it.
Here we go.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we have been friend and good neighbor with our southern neighbors. But we must stand up for ourselves. Historically, despite our friendship, we have had problems, but we always found a way to solve them. We have worked with and collaborated with the United States in the past, and I'm telling you, we will do so in the future. We are good neighbors and friends. We are good neighbors and friends, but we are proud and independent country. But sometimes one must stand up for Canada. We must always be vigilant. And I did so as minister and as prime minister. Way back in 1968, when the Americans sent a ship, the Manhattan, with no Canadian flag through our Northern Passage, they wanted to prove that the passage was international water. As Minister of Northern Affairs, I flew to Pond Inlet at the northern extremity of Baffinland to confront them. I was on the Louis Saint-Laurent icebreaker. I called the captain. I said I will be there in an hour. And it's better to have the Canadian flag at the mast. I took... When I arrived, there was the Canadian flag at the mast. And I had a big smile. You know, we had other problems of the same nature. You remember Newfoundland, the so-called fish war, when we arrested Este, when my friend Tobin made a great show at the UN with the illegal nets, and we were successful. They changed the international laws after that because there was a problem that needed to be fixed. And I'm quite proud of it, and it was quite a time. Yeah. I was traveling in the West. I came back. It was Holy Week. So it was a Thursday, Holy Week. So my wife said, we'll have a good rest for the weekend. And I said, perhaps not, because I'm declaring war to Spain. She did not sleep. But, you know, we had another problem on the West Coast. You know, we have Vancouver Island, the mainland, and Canadian waters. And the fishermen from Oregon and Washington State were going to Alaska, but they were not respecting our water. So we threatened them to block the passage on Canadian water and force them to go in the high seas. It was a very difficult problem. The senator of Alaska said it was almost a question of war. So I discussed that, and I talked with my friend Bill Clinton, and he said, it's out of Canada, there's not much I can do. I said, if you cannot do something, I will do something. And they were forced to respect our laws. Some were taken to courts, and after that, the problem was solved because we stood for us strongly. But for 8 years, I was a colleague of Bill Clinton, and he would always say that Canada was his best ally, and that I was a very good friend, and we still are very good friends. But we worked together, and we found solutions together. And it's what happened in the future, too. We always been good neighbors with anybody. So I was proud, too, when I was Prime Minister, and I had to say no to the participation in the American invasion of Iraq. That decision told the United States and the world that Canada is a proud, independent country. Of course, the business community was very nervous. They were afraid of retaliation. So I told them, okay, give me the list of all the goods and all the services that the Americans are buying from us because they like us. I've not received the list yet. So, you know, we will work in collaboration with them. But, you know, they have to understand, and everybody understand, that we are a very proud country. And for me, I can tell you that sometimes I can say this, from one old guy to another old guy. Stop this nonsense. Canada will never join the United States. I can tell you that my parents were not millionaires from New York. They were workers from Shawinigan. But my mother taught us good manners. She would have been ashamed of me if I had treated anyone the way that the president treated my prime minister and the president in Ukraine in the last few weeks. The reason we don't want to become American is because our values as Canadians. We are proud Canadians, and yes, we owe a debt of recognition to Mr. Trump. He has united us as never before. So I want to say thank you to him. And I think I will propose him for the Order of Canada. I'm just kidding. Mesdames et messieurs, quand j'étais Premier ministre et que j'allais partout dans le monde,
I would travel across the world. I went to the UN, to the G7, to NATO, to the Commonwealth, to the Francophonie, and to all sorts of international meetings on the 5 continents. When I came back to Canada, each time I would say that the job of being Prime Minister is perhaps the easiest of any country in the world. Canada is the country that works the best, I think. Much better than any other country in the world.
And it's why there are millions and millions of human beings from all over the world who would like to come and become Canadian citizens. There was a survey not long ago. They were asking the people, where would you want to go if you had to start again your life? And Canada was number 1. Why? Is because Canada is the land of freedom. Canada is the land of opportunity, the land of generosity, the land of tolerance, the land of stability, the land of rule of law. It is our land that is the envy of the world. Canada will continue to rise true north, strong and free. Nobody will starve us into submission, because Canada is and will remain the best country in the world. Vive le Canada!
I thought that was a pretty good speech.
Mm-hmm. I love it when he says "Vive le Canada." There's just something about him saying it that works for me.
Well, he still very much got it, right?
Yeah, 91. I don't remember the last time I cheered so hard for a 91-year-old. Listen. Those are the words. This is why you have elder statesmen. For these precise types of moments. To go back in the history. Right? What happens in the high Arctic? The Turbot Wars. I remember that.
Yes.
Ryan Tobin, Newfoundland, when he's talking about Tobin. Not following the U.S. into the Iraq War.
I remember at that time, I was like, what is he doing? I questioned this. And I had a conversation with a buddy. I go, it kind of makes us look bad against the Americans. And my friend said something to me, and I thought, well, yeah, you are correct. He says, yeah, but Paul, maybe he has information that you and I don't have. I went, yeah, good point. Very good point. He wouldn't have made that rash decision to not go into battle with our neighbors
Right.
Unless he had information that said this is a bad idea because it's founded on a falsehood. And as it turns out, it was founded on a falsehood.
Yep. But reminding us who we are and that we've been through this before.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, matters a lot. But then, like, come on. So when you're a man of a certain age, my mother would have been embarrassed when she had someone like that. He weaves in very subtly the issue of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He weaves in very subtly issues of territorial sovereignty and water sovereignty, because remember, they're talking about, hey, what if we just change the borders on the Great Lakes or something, right? All these topics like this refers to them subtly throughout it. Very well constructed. Of course, some classic Jean Chrétien from one old guy to another. Stop this nonsense. Thank you for uniting us. I think I might recommend you for the Order of Canada.
He already has it, but still.
I'm Trump.
Oh, Trump.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you did more for national unity like this. Let's give you the Order of Canada. You like rewards. Oh, plenipotentiary and wonderful and elegant, super smart and sharply dressed President of Trump. We, on behalf of the King and all his ancestors, would like to offer you the super special prestigious, we had this one made just for you, Order of Canada. It comes with a free taco bowl and all the Diet Coke you want when you come in Canada, and extra scoops of ice cream all the time because you're just so damn special. Thank you for uniting us. Oh, wonderful. Great, great, great president. Is there any more sunshine we can blow up your butt? Maybe that would get the trade barriers. No, Donald, this really is the Nobel Prize.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. He wants that one badly. Sometimes I wonder if we actually told him we were giving him the Nobel Prize that was coming from Canada, whether he'd be dumb enough to believe it was the real thing. Go all over American TV. Look, I got the. Meanwhile, Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
We're passive aggressive and smug and petty. I love it. All right. So, but sometimes you need an old pro to put it down and say the things that the other people can't say. Now, you have to remember that Prime Minister Chrétien with 4 other living prime ministers, including Stephen Harper, all got together and reminded Canadians to, grab our flag and fly it high. It was a moment of pride. So, I mean, he's not just showing up to this leadership convention like this. He's actually, got together with a couple of other prime ministers, and Campbell and Clark and Harper and I'm missing one. Terrible. But all got together because a common message for all Canadians. This is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Elder statesmen, cross-party lines can do it.
Yes. That's what you call bipartisanship.
Or like
partisanship is when you separate. Bipartisan is when you come together.
Yeah. Or like when you said, as you pointed out, what Spencer Fernando did.
Yes.
Today, yes, 95% of the time, this is my regular programming. But today, we are setting that aside because something else matters. Something that actually matters.
Let's wrap it up, sir, so we can carry on and send everybody away to get on with their day, as I have to do that as well.
All right.
And remember, kids.
Elbows up. I feel almost jockish. It's kind of fun. I kind of see what people get out of it. It's kind of fun. I have to say that this. I don't know. Somebody put a baseball bat in my hand so I can grab my scratch and spit somewhere. Just I don't know what it is.
If you really need to.
There's something about this mode right now. It's like I was like, who's Canadian? Yeah, I'm Canadian. I'll kick your ass. It's just that little, almost snot-nosed. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Two
Bring
modes. We're sorry. You'll be sorry.
Yeah.
2 modes.
Exactly. So, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to support us, please do. For example, that QR code that just appeared under my chin will bring you to our pod page, sponsored by the Ray Girl, podpage.com/the-truenortheagerbeaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go there and click subscribe, whenever we have something fresh off the podcast bandwidth, it will get directly to you. So thank you so much for subscribing there. If you'd like to help us in other ways, then you need to surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, like Kits Elaine and Kits Cassie encourage you to do frequently, and then click on our buttons like, share, and subscribe. When you do that, well, we get ourselves a whole bunch of happy, and it helps us with the algorithm. So thank you, eh? Now, if you'd like to help us in other ways, for example, financially, because we do incur some costs bringing this show to you, hopefully you appreciate it and would like to encourage us to do more. Well, you can do that with a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, your best way to keep your favorite beaver and grizzly
Hydrated.
moist or hydrated. Clearly, I need some because I tripped over my tongue right there. You see?
It happens.
Send help. Send help right away. Does that work? No? Okay. Call now. But please,
Call now.
if you are able to, Miss Cleo, again, call now.
And whenever I
I
hear
like
call
that.
now, that's all I hear is Miss Cleo. That's all I hear in my head.
What do they call that in comedy when you go back to the thing that was mentioned earlier? Recall. Recall. Yes, good recall or reprise or whatever. So yes, if you would like to help us out there, thank you so much, because I was like stretching to get my chin above the thing. The chair's a little short. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, if you would like to help us by making a donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund via our coffee page, that's really our tip jar. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters, and that QR code that's by Mr. Grizzly's head will bring you right there. Anything that you're able to contribute really, really helps a lot. So thank you very much for your generosity. And if you are not able to contribute financially, do not worry, because the gifts of your participation and attention are the ones that matter the most to us. And we'd like to hear from you. So please, 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 please write to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Also, by the way, if you want to send us a direct donation that doesn't go through any of the US CE bros like PayPal, I want to make sure that we receive 100% of your donation. Sending it by a bank transfer to truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com allows you to make the transaction in a 100% Buy Canadian way. Just so you know. But we do like to hear from you. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address, and you can write us at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge at True Eager, also at the Bad Place, also True Eager, and on our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver. And if you happen to be listening on YouTube, either live or after the show, right down here in the comments section, let us know what you think. We do try to read everything, even though we're not able to respond to everyone. And everything you do and say does help make the show better. So thank you so much for your contribution.
We read everything. We can't respond to everything, unfortunately, but we do read everything.
We do everything. And Kit Suzanne, I did get your message, as you know. I responded, and please know that I will do what I promised. I haven't done it yet, but I will do what I promised. And thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. A Kit of ours had a experience in the chat that was less than pleasant, and I brought it to our attention, and I told them that I would try to address it somehow. So but I'm glad that they brought it to us, because we want the chat to be a place where people are able to actually express themselves.
Playing with 3Ds and asking a question here. I don't know if you can answer. Is the coffee only Visa and PayPal?
The coffee is, I believe so. I believe so. But
yeah, it's easier. But if you want, just email it If you just send us an email, it goes directly into the account. We don't even see the money. It just goes literally. If you want to transfer us for money and you're in Canada, you can do so via email, as I'm sure you well know. And in doing so, that will go straight directly into our bank account, right into our corporate account.
Password or anything.
Correct.
So truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com for that, and that way, you don't have to go through credit cards or any brokering services or tech services like PayPal and that kind of stuff. It's just a direct transfer, and usually for a lot of people, that's even lower, no fee. So
Correct.
There you go.
Usually in Canada, there's no fee attached to that. Correct, if memory serves.
Sometimes, depending on minimum balances or if you already have banking packages and stuff like that. Yeah,
but it's instant.
It's instant, exactly. Because democracy is something that you do. Remember, there's a leadership race for the Quebec Liberal Party. There will be one starting soon for the Prince Edward Island Progressive Conservatives and the Newfoundland and Labrador Liberals. So please take care and look at that. There's a by-election coming up in Manitoba provincially, so please look into that. Find out all that you need to do in order to be able to volunteer or help or just cast a fully informed vote, as you would. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom on this Tuesday morning. Stay calm, breathe, get some exercise, get out there and enjoy this spring-like weather, because the world is a crazy place right now. And you need to do whatever you can to try and keep your sanity and your wits about you. I've gone on about it at length on my ASMR YouTube channel, and I have a Substack that I've started, which is about mental health as well. It's an extension of my ASMR. And I discuss things in there that don't necessarily make it to the live broadcast. So if you want to check that out, I don't have a link for you today. I'll have one for tomorrow. But try and remember the things in life that you're grateful for. Try and smile. Remember to laugh. And if you need to unplug from the news for a little while, by all means do so.
It's self-care.
And that includes unplugging from us for a little while. We don't take it personally. We know you occasionally need to do it. We get it. It's all good.
Yep, just come back if you need to. For those who are wondering, just looking at the S&P is slightly down at the moment. NASDAQ is slightly up. Dow is still a little bit down. So I'm not sure that IQ 47 is getting the bump that he wanted again today, but it's not as negative as it was yesterday. And the Toronto Stock Exchange is only down 0.1% at the moment. So maybe it'll be a better day today.
Well, here's the P500. The change since the inauguration day of Trump's first and second term. Yikes!
Yeah,
Talk about a precipitous drop.
Yep, it's bad. Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right. Oh, there's Lola. One quick little Easter egg for you, because we hadn't talked about it. But, the polling aggregate numbers came out on Sunday, and the seat lead has narrowed a little bit more. Now the Conservatives only have a 13-seat lead over the Liberals, 156 to 143. again, if the trend keeps on being your friend, especially if the Liberals get a boost from it not being generic Liberal Party or maybe Trudeau, but now Liberal leader Carney, these lines might intersect very, very, very soon. That would be a shame. Have a perfect day, everyone.
We'll see you later.